Hey Facebook, it is Tia Ramey, your favorite local digital marketer. Just wanted to give another lesson today. I've had a lot on my heart and I want to wait for people to chime in. Parents, educators, anyone, pastors, anybody that you know that deal with kids on a regular basis, please share this video with them. Even if you didn't get a chance to watch it live, please share it with them, because what I'm going to do is I want to give away some tactics for parents on how you can monitor your children's social media, how you can teach kids how to use social media. You know, our kids are growing up in a total different culture than what we grew up in. They're growing up with social media as a childhood, whereas us, you know, when I first got involved, really actively involved, Facebook was launching my freshman year in college. And then we had Black Planet and MySpace before that. So we were kind of in it, out of it, but it's not something that was a necessity for us. And some of us now that are probably mid-30s plus, we're getting away from using it, and we're getting away from it because it's not really our thing. We see it as a luxury and not a necessity, whereas these kids, it is their very culture. So please encourage and tag your friends who are parents and educators, people who are pastors, who have churches, anyone that deal with youth, to watch this video, because I want to give away some special tactics that you can use to protect your family. It breaks my heart that I'm seeing families fall apart because of social media. I'm watching kids commit suicide from being bullied. You know, there's no reach or no limit that they have in terms of, you know, what they're going through. It used to just be at school. You know, they had a hard few hours. Now they get home and it's still hard because they're still connected to these devices that cause them a lot of issues. And sorry, I'm in my car today and not in my office, but hi. But I want you all to keep in mind that, you know, these kids, this is their culture. It's their world. You know, they're not like us where it's something we can put down, put off, delete the app. This is, you know, who they are, and their social networks is an important part of their conversation, their communication. So how do we as parents, you know, monitor when our kids are not around and our kids have an entire world of connections of people we don't even know about? They're learning things that we didn't even teach them. We can't seem to monitor what they can see on the internet. You know, all those things are very scary for a parent, you know, that we don't have any sort of real way of controlling what they're exposed to on a daily basis. It used to be limit how much they're watching TV, but now, you know, the reach of what they can learn, find out, watch a video of is ridiculous, and we can put those blocks on their searches. But what about social media, where these videos are just constantly coming at them? And, you know, it's very dangerous. But actually, you know, the hard part about social media is that they gave us this very powerful tool, but no one ever actually taught us how to use it. And then on top of that, kids, that part of their brain that's supposed to teach them how to think ahead, it's not fully developed yet. So they're putting all of their thoughts out there, and they're documenting their childhood in front of the entire world at this point. And, you know, for us, what happened at home stayed at home, and, you know, we had room to grow and room to change and room to develop our ideas. And these kids, it's already documented. It's already laid out before them. So I really want, you know, parents to watch this video, and I want to tell you what you can do to find out, does your child have a secret profile? How do you monitor that? You know, how do you show them the danger of this thing? How do you get them to trust what you're saying and believe you? Because to them, mom is tripping, you know, or dad, he doesn't know what he's talking about, because they think that we're older and we don't know and we don't get it, and that the old-fashioned values don't apply to this new form of technology. So I just want to educate parents and families, youth leaders on what to do. And number one, you know, if you have a church or you have a place of employment, we have this thing called a social media policy. Well, when it comes to parenting, you don't need a policy, you need a system. So it's beyond rules. It needs to be proactive. It used to take a village to raise a child. Well, heck, now it practically takes a city or a state because of the reach that these kids have. They probably have friends from all over the country at this point that they're connecting with and communicating with on Instagram, Snapchat. There's, what's this new thing, Musical.ly. There's, you know, they're not really on Facebook much. There's Tinder. There's so many different social networks, you know. So how do we keep our kids from ruining their lives before they even begin, you know? And one, I'm going to say, it's going to have to start with the parents. Sorry, parents. Sorry, peers. But, you know, the parents are not using this tool proactively, to be honest. That's a problem. You know, when you're getting on social media and, you know, grandma she's serving it up and she's got it all hanging out, what do you think the kids are going to do? They're looking at our pictures, guys. They're looking at our photos. They're looking at what we're doing. The people who have, you know, kind of created this tool. Our generation, my peers created social media, you know, and we're not using it properly. So they go on these social networks and they're looking at our content. And yes, we can say, well, I'm grown and my profile is blocked. But we have to understand that with this powerful tool that we have, there's also a level of responsibility that we have to shape the next generation. These things are documented. This is what our kids are seeing. So all the pictures that we're taking and the things that we put out there into the world, this is what kids think social media is for. So I'm going to ask you to check yourself. You know, like all of us parents should. It always starts with the leadership. And I want to ask you, what kind of things are you putting out there in social networks? What are you saying? What does your picture say about you? You know, keep in mind someone else's child is looking at it. You know, if we are always, in women, I'm going to start with us too, being a woman. If every picture that you have, you've got to show yourself off and you need constant validation for being sexy, that tells our girls that they need validation from men who don't care whether or not they come home dead or alive for being attractive. It's time to teach our girls that they need to feel beautiful within themselves. They do not need someone to constantly validate that. You don't need to take one selfie after the next, okay? We don't want that for our kids. Is that really what we want our girls to think, that it's enough to be pretty? You know, it should be more than that. You know, when I scroll down a timeline, I should see comments of substance, quotes. I should see articles of education, resources, things to share, a point of view. So for one, you know, give your children and educate them on something that they should care about beyond what they see. Everyone wants to be the next Kim K. And that's great that she was able to make it big and do whatever she does in her own reality world. But we don't want our kids to think that their life is its own reality show. And that's how we're using social media all the time. That needs to change. Honestly, it really does. It's not a reality show. It's a wonderful tool for engagement. It's a wonderful tool for business. It's a wonderful tool for awareness, for activism. You know, it's almost the difference between, you know, a rapper that he talks about himself all the time versus a rapper who's an actual lyricist that has a real point of view and things to say. You know, one, we have to give our kids some substance and show them that this is an awareness tool. So I'm asking you to get at the forefront of social media and what it's for. This is a great space. It really is. It's a powerful tool to help you to connect with communities. If your child has something that they're interested in, maybe they're a wonderful artist, they're a budding artist, show them communities of art. You know, show them how to follow influencers who are powerful in their field and their industries, and let those people motivate them. So show them, don't just connect with friends just to be connected. Connect with people that can inspire you. So help your child build what I call a content list. You know, right now I love social media. It's what I do for a living, but I'm far more passionate about educating people in social media right now than I am, you know, about doing it myself for companies. So I really want the kids to learn it in schools. You really need to integrate it in your education. So I am going to hold schools accountable for how you teach children at a young age how to use this tool, because it's not going anywhere. So what I want you to do is create what we call a content template. Teach children the type of things that they should be posting. They're going to post. You know, that's what they're going to do, and that's what it's for. But if you don't give them things that they should care about, if you don't teach them what's happening in the world, and if you don't teach them what's happening in culture, in art, in science, in technology, then they're only going to post whatever random stuff comes off the top of their mind, because they're not thinking about anything any deeper. So I know that we all want to preserve our children's childhood, but just because you enlighten them on what's happening in the world is not taking away their innocence. It's teaching them what they should care about, how they can be involved, what are people saying, you know, what can we do? You know, what is your part in what's happening in the world? What is your contribution to art? You know, what is your contribution to science? What's your contribution to civil rights? You know, teach them what they should care about, and whatever it is that's on their heart, they'll post. And I want you to keep in mind that, you know, our kids, they're the future politicians, the judges, the doctors, the lawyers, the law enforcement. And we all know that employers look at these things. So I want you to just keep that in mind. You know, as employers are looking at these things, these kids, they'll be looking at their entire profile from their childhood on up, especially for those of us who might have kids starting high school. They that much more need to be careful about what they're posting at this point, because this is the culture that they're dealing with. They're coming into that, and what they're saying right now is going to impact them. And your kids may not necessarily understand that right now, but this one thing I want you to get, make it a requirement that you are able to follow your kids on Facebook. This whole, I don't want my mom, my friend on Facebook. Forget that. I don't want my mom to be my friend on Snapchat. No, forget that. That's ridiculous that you can't find out who your children are networking with and what they're saying. They don't need that much privacy. They don't need privacy at all. So, especially not in front of the common public. They've already forfeited their right to privacy when they decided to get on social media. So get involved, get all in their stuff and develop a system. And here's your system. I'm going to tell you. Every night, I want you to follow your kids, and I want you to create a profile that says mom and dad, or whoever you are, grandma, whatever it is. And that profile is used specifically for following the children in your life, the kids in your jurisdiction. And every night you check in with them to find out, what did they post today? What did my kids say? Who are they interacting with? Now, if your child, you notice they're on their phone all the time and you didn't see any posts on that day, then you know they have a secret profile and it's time to take their phone away. And that's another thing. Kids, they don't need a phone 24/7. You can give them, I understand, I'm a mother and I want my child, I want to be able to know she's okay. But when she comes home from school, the phone is mine. And I might give her an hour or so to be on it. So just take the phone away. They don't need to be that connected. As an adult, a working adult with a full-time job or business, I need to be connected. But a child, everyone that she should need to connect to should be right in that house at nighttime. So take it away. But if you don't want to take it away, and that's fine too, then you need to check in and find out what they're posting. So I agree with that. Be the parent. Yes, Karen, it is okay to be the parent. Thank you for saying that. You have to, because, and then on top of that, we have to get past this thing where we don't want anybody saying anything to our kids. Make sure that auntie, pastor, cousin is following your child so they can tell you things that you don't know, and allow people the right to correct your child. Give them the right. You can't do it all yourself. You can't. All of us moms, we want to be everything to our kids as dads, but you can't. There are areas where we're weak. There are places we don't have eyes. So we should be very grateful for the people who correct our children, because it means they care about them and they want to see them do well. And we want people around that are like that. So empower other authority figures to correct what your child is seeing. Principals, follow your students on social media. You need to make this a part of the enrollment process, that you have their Twitter handles, you have their tags. So when they enroll in school, you are following your students and you're finding out what they are posting. So like I said, create a separate profile that is just for monitoring your kids. And I want them to see you like their posts and like their comments so that they can see mom is doing this, principal is doing this, teacher is doing that. You need a profile just for that, okay? So that way you don't miss anything scrolling down and they're all mixed up between friends, family, companies you're following. It's only about the kids. And that is the profile that you use to monitor the children in your life. Now, you might not be able to stop them from creating a secret profile and working them both. If your child has that much time on their hands, they need an activity, okay? But they might go ahead and create a separate profile. But what they will see, and this is an important lesson, which one of those profiles are most profitable to them. They will find out the one that mom's watching, this has been good, and then the one that she's not watching, that's where all the drama happens. So you want them to see the difference between those two worlds. They might learn a thing or two by doing it that way, okay? So what I want you to do when you're with your kids, sit down and create a template for content of what it should look like. You're allowed to post quotes, inspirational quotes. Let's find out who inspires you. Maybe it's Dr. Maya Angelou. Maybe it's Michelle Obama. You can post quotes from her. You are allowed to post, how you can post a quote from yourself of something you learned today. You're allowed to follow these types of accounts. You really need to tell them what to do, what they are allowed to say. Because now we're in this generation where kids say anything. They say anything and they say everything. They're not even thinking about it. They're not putting that kind of thought into into what they're saying. So you need to teach them what's appropriate to say out loud. And parents, again, if you don't know that for yourself, then sit down and take a class, because I'm seeing my own peers make this mistake. So no wonder their children are doing it too. So really take the time to pay attention. Like, you can't just say anything. We have to really kind of go back to some old-fashioned values and learn how to keep some things to ourselves. You know, everything isn't for everybody. You know, teach our girls, hey, if you're going to post a selfie, I only want to see one a week. That's enough. We don't need our girls to just think pretty, pretty, pretty. They need to be more than that. We want them to be smart. Tell them, I want you to post something educational that you learned in school. So you're teaching them how to do content management at a young age. You know, schools, this should be an assignment, you know, where you're sitting down and you're teaching kids what kind of content is appropriate for the internet. What kind of things are appropriate, you know, even about the settings, you know, privacy settings. We think that just because something's private, it doesn't go viral. Well, that's not true. And I've seen some teachers do a great job of demonstrating that. But I want you to really sit down with them. Pastors, you know, do this. You know, teach them, hey, look, I want to see what y'all posted on Monday, what you learned in Sunday. What did you learn in youth class? So you're teaching them how to put content out there that's relevant, that's educational, that's inspirational. And it also makes them think about what they've learned too and hold it in their own minds. So there needs to be not a social media policy, but a social media system. So I really want to come to your schools. If you have teachers, principals, I would love to come to your schools. I do a lot of talking to kids about social media and personal branding. They don't understand how this impacts their future. They're only thinking like, here and now, this is how I feel right now, but they don't think ahead. So it's our job to think ahead for them. It's our job to teach them how to be 5 years ahead, how to be 10 years ahead. It's our job to sit down with them and talk to them about their goals and creating a content management system on how to get there, how to network with people that are in the companies they might want to work for one day, the industries they want to be a part of. It's our job to sit down with our kids and do that for them. And some of us are just learning it, and that's fine. But that's why it's so important to teach your kids as you are learning. You know, my mother did a great job of that. As you're learning it, teach it. You know, that's what it takes. Sit down every night and go over their content. You know, at least have a day as a family that you do it. And like I said, make sure that you create that separate profile and make sure that you're using that profile for helping people out, you know, for taking a look at what the kids are doing in your community. That's very, very important to do. And watch what you are posting. You're the example, you know. Older millennials, you know, let's please be careful what we are posting and putting out there to the public. We have a responsibility. We have to start thinking about the generation younger than us. People used to do that. Everyone has become so selfish. Everyone's thinking, well, this is what I want to post. This is funny to me. This is what I like. And we don't stop and think about how it affects the next generation. We're not even beginning to really properly shape them the way that they should be shaped. We're only paying attention to our own self and our own needs and our own careers. We have to think about how this impacts the kids. So again, I would love to come to your schools and help you develop this system. I would love to come to your churches, even your family, to sit down with your family and develop this system. If you need help, please call me. You can visit my website, RameyMarketing.com. You can visit, you know, me on Instagram. Please share this video with someone that you know might be having an issue with social media in their home. Like I said, there's a lot that's going on. There's a lot that I see being a part of the social media world every day. So really put a system in place. You really have to be proactive about this, and you have to give your children things of substance. So whatever it is they're into, if there's an athlete that inspires them, you know, maybe there is a woman, a man, whoever it is, show them which accounts that they should follow so they can continue to be inspired. Social media can be such a powerful, positive tool if we're really teaching our kids how to use it that way, and that's what we should be doing. That's what we can do. So, you know, show them how to be inspired. Show them how to surround their phone and how to customize their phone with things that make them feel good, and not when they look at their phone they're seeing things that would depress them or make them feel like they're less than, or they're not pretty enough, or their lives aren't good enough, you know, all these sorts of things. So just show them how to do it. You know, we shouldn't have to look at our phones, the things that come out of our purses and pockets, and then we're depressed, you know, about our lives. We can look and we should be inspired. And that's what social media can be for if we're teaching people how to use it. So again, hit me up, inbox me if you would love for me to come in and sit and talk with your family, your schools, your classrooms, your youth organizations and programs. Again, Ramey Marketing, Tia Ramey, RameyMarketing.com. Hit me up and I will be more than happy to come to you and we can work out how to create a system that will protect your family from being